Tennessee at home against numero uno, the number one team in America, the Georgia Bulldogs. So, it's of all of you time, ladies and gentlemen. Tennessee's toughest test of the year, but the good news is it is in Neyland Stadium, it is in Knoxville. The Vol View starts right now.
Football time in Tennessee.
It is indeed football time in Tennessee, and the last football game for Tennessee to be played in Neyland Stadium this season. Very bittersweet. Obviously, this has been it has been for decades, heck, for a darn century, one of the best atmospheres in all of college football and all college sports. But Tennessee, a home game against, as I just mentioned, the number one team in the country, the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia on the road is a 10-point favorite. Obviously, if this were in Georgia, this would be a 16-point line, at least if you do the math. Georgia would be a 16-point favorite, despite the fact that Tennessee still in the top 25, number 18 in the country. So here's the thing for the Vols. So they, at this point, what they have to play for, a potential, although they'd have to hope for some losses for Missouri, who just beat them, but a potential New Year's Six Bowl, and play spoiler. Make things a little interesting in the college football playoff things, because the fact of the matter is, if Georgia loses to Tennessee, let's just play pretend for a second. Okay, we did that as kids. Let's play pretend. If Georgia loses to Tennessee, all of a sudden, Georgia versus Alabama, SEC title game, Atlanta, Georgia, 2 weeks from tomorrow, all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, that is an extra college football playoff game. The playoff is still, after all, at 4 teams. It is going to extend, I believe, next season, if I'm not mistaken. If not the season after that, 14 playoff. Somebody's got to go. Bama's got 1 loss. Georgia's got 1 loss, assuming that they lost to the Vols. All of a sudden, winner in the playoff. Loser, you're done. Your season is over in terms of national title contention. So that's what Tennessee's playing for, to shake things up a little bit in the college football playoff mix. I like it. I like playing spoiler. I like Tennessee being put in this position. But again, 10-point dogs. And again, it's not going to be easy for a myriad of reasons, one of them being the injury bug for the Vols. So first of all, Brew McCoy lost in the first month of the season due to injury against South Carolina, ankle injury. Another ankle injury plagued Daunting, one of our best receivers, probably our number 1 deep threat receiver. He got hurt last week against Missouri, done for the season. Our number 1 corner, Kamal Hadden, got hurt against Bama, done for the season. So 3 of Tennessee's key playmakers, and again, this is football. Injuries are going to happen, but Tennessee's kind of gotten snake bit to a certain degree in the past couple of months, or really just the entire season in general. But what's interesting is I'm looking at ESPN's matchup predictor, one of which that in the NBA and basketball, I give very little credibility to, with all due respect, because the fact that they had the Warriors at a 12% chance to win the finals against the Boston Celtics in 2022. Yes, I am still salty about that. We won, though, so it doesn't matter. Tennessee, though, apparently, according to their analytic system, however they calculate this, has a 30.6% chance to win. Almost 1 out of 3, potentially. Who knows? Here's the thing for Georgia. And I respect the heck out of them for this. I may not like Georgia, but I can always respect them in the sense that early in their schedule, and there's a lot of Michigan syndrome with this, where Michigan, first 9 games of the season, man, come on, it's Eastern Carolina, it's Purdue, it's Rutgers, and Michigan State. These are terrible programs, or at least mediocre programs. It's kind of what Georgia was doing, beating up on a lot of bad teams. UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, Auburn, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Florida, Missouri. But then you play Ole Miss. 9th-ranked Ole Miss, playing very good football. Walk into Georgia, and I mistakenly said the Bulldogs won 45-17. I apologize. They won 52-17. So They took care of business. Carson Beck is playing unbelievable football right now for Georgia. In this game, had a couple touchdown passes, QBR of 96. The Bulldogs ran for 300 yards against Ole Miss. So that's going to be a point of emphasis for Tennessee is that, hey, it's pick your poison. You want Georgia beats you with your pass game, Carson Beck, Brock Bowers, who is going to be a top 5 pick, potentially, certainly a top 10 pick in this upcoming NFL draft. He is as talented a tight end as we've ever had coming out of the draft next year in 2024. Or do you have the running game beat you? With a great Georgia offensive line, another great Georgia offensive line, and Georgia has tended to be running back you, or at least running game you. How do you stop them? Well, Tennessee can stop the run. Hold Georgia in third down situations. If there's anything Georgia has not done this season, or at least have it proven this season, it's that they can win in very hostile environments. Here's the road games they played, Georgia this year. At Auburn. Auburn can be hostile, but it helps when Auburn is better. Okay, the Auburn Tigers are sitting here today. If you look at the standings in the Southeastern Conference, the Auburn Tigers are sitting there at 3-4 in the SEC. Like they're mediocre, they're average, they're fine. That's not an intimidating place to go play. As for Georgia, again, look at the rest of their schedule. If I can pull up here, I apologize, just lost. Okay, Georgia, other home road games that they played this year. Vanderbilt, come on. Tennessee fans always outnumber Vanderbilt fans. Matter of fact, I didn't watch Georgia Vanderbilt. That was on October 14th. So a month ago, I didn't watch the game. Guarantee there were more Georgia fans than Vanderbilt fans. Vanderbilt doesn't have a fan base, okay? Except when there's baseball. Then they all come out of the woodworks. It's funny how that works. Florida, neutral site game, Jacksonville. Florida's mediocre. It's not a hostile environment. But you know what is? Neyland Stadium. Let me tell you something, y'all. Been in Neyland multiple times. Matter of fact, gonna be there tomorrow. Cannot wait for it. When I say that place gets loud, last year, Tennessee played Alabama in Neyland Stadium. The earth in Knoxville, Tennessee, literally, I'm dead serious. You could look this up, folks. No, don't take my word for it. Look it up. The earth shook at Neyland Stadium. It was so loud. That's what's going to be like on Saturday. For Tennessee, for Vol Nation, for Vol Faithful, Knoxville, Tennessee, Neyland Stadium. Oh, what do we got to lose? We're not obviously not going to make the playoff. Nowhere near that. We're not going to make the SEC title game. We're mathematically eliminated. We don't like Georgia. Let's screw up their season. Let's put them on the brink of potential college football playoff elimination 2 weeks from now when they face Alabama. If we shake things up, that's some serious momentum going into certainly the rest of the season. They'll beat Vanderbilt next week, and hopefully they win their bowl game depending on the matchup. That's some serious momentum going to next week where you have obviously Nico coming in, starting quarterback, 5-star recruit, number 1 QB in the nation coming out of high school, and some transfers and recruits, and we know how that goes. So what happens for Tennessee? Well, what I hope happens and what I think is going to happen is two different things. You guys don't care what I hope. I hope Tennessee wins, of course. What I think is going to happen is that the Vols, it's the old syndrome. It's more applicable in the NFL than it is college, but bear with me. The whole, when you plan national television, and CBS, this is unfortunately the final year that they're doing SEC games, which is really sad because the SEC and CBS, it's like synonymous. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird not having the SEC on CBS. But Tennessee played on CBS last week against Missouri. A lot of stakes. They didn't know Georgia was going to be Ole Miss. Probably did in the back of their heads, but they didn't know for a fact. They beat Missouri. Georgia lose to Ole Miss. All of a sudden, this game tomorrow is for the division. It's for a spot in Atlanta. Well, they got humiliated, embarrassed, intentionally by the head coach of Missouri, by the Missouri football team who had been pissed off the last 2 years. You'd given up 60 points to Tennessee. Well, now all of a sudden, Tennessee's the one who got humiliated. They're playing a Georgia team that's flying high a little bit. Is there a potential that Tennessee maybe catches Georgia off guard? Maybe. Does the fan base, the noise, the atmosphere, does that catch Georgia off guard? Well, in the first half, I think it will. I can see Tennessee getting a stop first drive. I think Georgia gets the ball first. Tennessee gets a stop. I'm not going to say 3 and out or something, but gets a stop. Get the ball to Joe Milton and Falls offense. Boom, 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 boom. Down the field, touchdown, 7-0. Place is going crazy. They ride that momentum to a tight halftime score of 17-17. And then in the second half, Georgia, as any great football team does, adjusts. They get in order what they need to get in order, and they win convincingly. Put up the final score here. I got Georgia 38, Tennessee 21. I said 17-17. I meant to say 14-14. 14-14. Tennessee loses this game 38-21. This is the very first time, this is historic, that I have picked the Vols, my Vols, to lose here on the Vol View. But I have to be objective, have to be honest to you, the audience, and frankly to myself and to the rest of Vol Nation. Listen, if we win, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on cloud 9 on Monday's show. I don't anticipate that happening, though. I think the number one team in America gets the W, sends Tennessee to Vanderbilt at 7-4, and that's what that is. So, and I hope we win. I don't think it is out of the cards that we win, but I certainly would not advise you to take Tennessee in the points. I would not do that, given what I've seen this season, but it is not out of the question. Can't wait to be in Knoxville tomorrow. Can't wait to be at the great historic Neyland Stadium amongst a fantastic fan base and an unbelievable atmosphere. Rooting for Tennessee, obviously as hard as I can, but I got Georgia 38-21. That is it for this week's edition of the Vol View. We'll see what happens this weekend. We'll see what I have in store for you next week on the regular season finale of the Vol View, at least for the football season. But until then, we'll see y'all next week. That is it for this week's edition of the Vol View. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.